Good morning, Gardner, and thanks for joining me today on this very special In Conversation Trinity Connects. Not your first time here, although I think back then we called it Newcomer Hour. Now it's Trinity Connects because we've widened the audience. I'm sure thousands will be tuning into this very special time. And well, I've been lucky enough in my 5 years here to have gotten to know you because of connections that have come up. Maybe not everyone sees you all the time or knows exactly what you're doing. To begin with, tell me a little bit about how you ended up at Trinity and when.
Well, I basically grew up in the Episcopal Church. You know, my parents were lifelong members of their parish back in Norfolk, Virginia. My dad was junior warden and senior warden, and my mom was head of the altar guild, and they were very active in the church, so I was there a lot. I was in the choir and acolyte, did all of that, and went to Sewanee. So I've always been pretty much associated with the Episcopal Church. And eventually this job opened up here, and I decided to apply.
A whole wide thing happened in between.
Yeah, a lot happened in
Sewanee
between.
and the job. And
Yeah.
I think you told me 2012 was when you took the work here.
Correct.
Very good. And I know you have some grandkids. Am I thinking about that correctly?
Yeah, I've got 2 grandkids.
Down in California?
Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara, great.
Yeah.
And their parent is your...
My son,
Your son.
and daughter-in-law.
Okay,
And
great.
they're both nurses. My son's a nurse practitioner.
Ah, great.
And my daughter-in-law is a nurse, registered nurse.
That's sure that they've had quite a few 19 months or so.
It's been rough for them.
I
Yeah.
imagine. Well, how the other thing we've been talking about this week is pets. Any pets?
Well, I had a dog. Well, we had cats when I was growing up. Now, when I went to Sewanee, of course, there's a lot of dogs on the campus. And 2 of the prominent dogs, Batman and Bessie Smith, had a litter, and I got one of their puppies. And she stayed with me for 18 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Long time,
Yeah.
good companion.
Excellent. Well, do you think, well, we'll get to what you're going to do in the future. Before we get to the future and whether you're going to take a dog with you on your future, I wanted to ask, you've done so much work, and particularly in the last 18, 19 months, but is there a project here that you're the proudest of in that time?
It's hard to say just one project.
I bet.
I did enjoy converting the bookstore into the new Welcome Center, and that's a very visible project.
Love it.
When I first got here, one of my main jobs was to get the audio improved in the cathedral, because it was unintelligible in parts of the cathedral.
That's great. Yeah.
So that was a pretty big job I was proud of. Also, getting all the technology lined up for doing the live streaming was
Yet another
a pretty big
audio
job.
and visual challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had not really done visual.
no, we had no video.
Anything about that.
Yeah.
Well, those are things that will continue after you have left us, no doubt. I was telling someone the other day it's amazing that we have been able to do all that we've done without, just using the resources that we have within the church, really. Some churches, big churches in New York have, staff from NBC that belongs and comes over and does it all. We've been just doing it with our own stuff, learning as we go, but we've learned pretty well.
Yeah.
And you've been a high part of that. Is there anything about that you've done here project-wise that has been harder or more complicated than anything else?
Well, installing all of the wiring and the technology for the live streaming was a bit of a challenge. It involved crawling under the buildings, drilling through foot-thick concrete with hammer drills, and then crawling up in the trusses and running wire overhead. It was quite involved.
The cameras installing
Installing all the wiring for the cameras.
Did you have to use that basket thing to go up there in the...
We used our own scaffolding, and most of it was just climbing up into the rafters.
Not that... Okay, cool. Well, I think that's going to serve this parish long into the future. We're in the after times. I read that there's the before times and the after times, and we've been through them all. And you and your crew have been with us all through that time. We didn't get rid of anybody, right? As I understand it, we kept you all very busy.
Yeah, one sexton did leave because he needed more hours, but everybody stayed with us. And
So what were the things you were doing? I'm sitting here looking at 2 air conditioners, which in this Morrison room, which is a great one thing. But I know you did a lot of things in Kempton with furniture. Tell me a little bit about that.
I refinished most of all the antiques we have, and I did those in a traditional finish appropriate to the age of the piece. So it wasn't just a modern, polyurethane on top of it.
Keeps it looking like it
Looking
was meant
like
to
it
look.
was meant to look, exactly.
I love it.
So it was quite an involved process, but pretty much all of our antiques are in really good shape right now.
Let's hope they stay that way as
Yeah.
as the crowds come back in. Hope the crowds come back in.
And of course, we refinished the kitchen floor,
Yeah.
refinished the kitchen tables. We did quite a bit of work when people weren't in the building.
That does help in a way. You don't have to
Well,
worry
it
about
does,
pushing
exactly.
people around.
It's hard to schedule a room for several days for a project when we're exactive as we were.
I understand we also have cooled down the upstairs with some air conditioning as well.
Yeah, we have air conditioning units in all the offices now,
Perfect.
individually controlled.
Only the church remains unair conditioned.
Right.
Although someone told me the chancel is air conditioned. Is that true?
No.
Or not air? Something.
We can
happens
run
up-
our circulating fans.
That's it. Yeah. Keep the organ at the right temperature. One of the other questions that people ask me was, and you don't have to answer it, but where are the bodies buried? I mean, is there anything, and I'm not talking figurative, literally, I'm talking about things that they wish he, I hope Gardner doesn't mention this or that, and you don't need to. And maybe we should just stick to the remains that are in the memorial garden, because that is a function often of the sextons, right? To prepare
That is true. That's the oldest sexton job, is digging graves.
Yeah, and we have, I don't know how many people's cremains we have in there, and I know there's more inevitably on the way. But is there any other secrets, maybe rather than bodies, I should say, are there any secrets that since you're leaving you can share with us?
Nothing really exciting.
Nothing exciting.
I know when Jim and I built the niche wall in the cathedral behind the pulpit, we took a Sunday leaflet and signed it and put that inside the wall and dated it.
It's sort of like a time capsule.
Sort of.
Wow.
But hopefully it'll never be seen.
Let's hope not, yeah. And that niche wall is something that we should, I even thought about going over there with my camera, but what was your intent there? What was the plan on that niche wall that you built?
Well, the original plan was we were going to hang the new icon that was going to be dedicated to our new bishop in that spot. And without having a niche around it, it just didn't look right. And the original drawings from 1904, when the church was designed, the cathedral was designed, it showed an arch in that location. And for some reason, it was not built. So basically, I went ahead and completed the original plans from 1904 into the building. So now we have balanced arches on both sides of the chancel.
What do you think will go in it, if anything, then? If the icon didn't...
Well, the icon will go in.
Oh, it'll go in.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And it'll be lighted.
So it'll balance.
It'll
A
balance.
nice balance there.
Right.
And we talked about pulpit stairs one time. Is that still on
That's the project we're actively working on now with Big and G. And we're going to bring the stairs up from the chancel side of the pulpit.
Wonderful
And
idea.
rotate the pulpit so it accommodates the stairs coming from the opposite side. It'll be safer and a lot easier for people to get in and out of.
And I always worry, I've always worried who's going to fall down, and if it were me going up there, it would be me. So.
And also the preacher has to make that long walk all
I
the way
know,
around.
yeah, every time, and this will be much less awkward.
Yes.
And lovely. So when you are actually, is your last official on staff day, is it this week, or has
No,
it occurred?
it was actually October 3rd,
Okay.
but I am staying on as a contractor and
Okay.
consultant. I'm
Consultant.
going to be helping the sextons for a period of time.
Get it all figured out. Great. So I can say, what will you miss about Trinity?
The community mostly, and the
That's
spirit.
true. people say hello to each other and they mean it. People
Yeah.
care about each other and they mean it. I know that that's true. Well, that's the last almost 10 years. Let's talk about the next 10 years. First of all, let's see, we can call that a boat, not a ship? Is that
Yeah,
right?
it's a boat or yacht.
Language, yacht, okay. Does it have a name? I never knew if it had a name.
Yeah, it does. The name is Carolina Dawn.
Carolina Dawn, you're from the East Coast?
I'm from the East Coast, and I spent a lot of time camping on the beach in North Carolina from time
Watching
to time.
the dawn come up on
And one specific morning, it was very glorious sunrise, and it was such a nice feeling. I thought if I ever had a boat,
that's what I'm going to
that
call
was
it.
going to go.
And here it is.
Now I have a boat.
Yeah,
So it's a 40-foot catch.
40 feet.
It's a
okay.
Tayana. It's a heavily built, seaworthy boat. Has 2 masts.
And it has what's the thing that goes underneath?
A keel, a full
Keel.
keel.
It has a full keel,
Yeah.
yeah. You've been, not messing with it, making sure that it's ship shape for
I've been
a
working
while,
on that
huh?
for a while, and now that I have a little bit more time, I'm putting a lot more focus on that. But I'm trying to redo all the plumbing, the wiring. It's a real big challenge because it's basically like if you took everything in your house and moved it into one room,
Yeah.
your kitchen, your living room, your bedroom, everything, and then decided to paint the walls, refinish the floor, and change all your outlets in the walls.
And you're living in
And
it.
I'm living in
Yeah,
it.
that's the only. And does it have like a shower and everything? Toilet?
I'm going to put a shower outside in the cockpit. It does have
Ah.
one in the head, but it just would drain into the bilge, and I just don't like that situation.
no.
So I'm probably hoping to go to tropical climates where I can use the cockpit.
Not the Arctic Circle.
Right.
You're good. How do you know where you're going? I mean, are you going to sextant out and look at the sun, or do you have some other electronic things that will be helpful?
Well, I do have electronic navigation. I do have a sextant, which is very nice.
And you know how to use it.
I know how to use it.
You don't want to lose you. Okay.
And that's a good backup if electronics fail. But I have a GPS, I have a chart plotter, radar, and single sideband radio and VHF radio. So I can pretty much be in contact with people for thousands of miles. And
Cell phone? Do cell phones satellite type? No.
Satellite phones would work, but single sideband radio through a modem will actually patch into the phone system on land somewhere. Because I have about a 2,000 mile range on that. So pretty much I'll never be out of range of an antenna somewhere. And then I would tie into the regular system.
And you can then call somebody up. And
I can call somebody up. I can also use that to go on the internet and download weather maps and get information that way.
Google the whole thing.
The whole thing. It's a little slower than on land, but it's free, and it's...
Now, when you're in port, depending on the port, you could also be using just a regular cell phone.
use regular cell phone, and probably just buy a local SIM card, and
you'll be set.
yeah.
What's the longest? As you look to what you're going to be, where is the next place you're going to go, and how far is that in time, do you think?
Well, of course, I'll probably head to Santa Barbara first.
Of course, good.
Visit with my family for a while, and from there head down to Mexico.
Okay.
And then from there head over to the South Pacific and on to Japan and Australia.
Not Hawaii.
Places. I may hit Hawaii at some point.
Yeah.
But depending on where I'm leaving from, Hawaii is a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, right, exactly. Australia, did you say? New Zealand, Australia? That'd be great.
My son and daughter-in-law went there as travel nurses for about a year and a half, and I visited them twice and just really liked the country.
Particularly New Zealand is exciting, I always
Yes.
say. So how do you provision, what's the hop from Mexico to the South Pacific? How many, is that a month?
Yeah, it's about a
sailing?
month. It's 20 to 30 days. Yeah.
And how do you provision? Are you going to have fresh food or dried food, or?
It'll be a combination. I do have a refrigerator and a freezer that run off a 12-volt, and a lot of dried and canned foods.
A fishing pole, perhaps?
I do have a fishing pole, so hopefully...
Fresh fillet of something?
Yeah, catch something.
No sharks, I hope. Don't avoid the sharks. So.
And then I've got a water maker that takes seawater and desalinates it and converts it to fresh water. So then I'll have plenty of drinking water.
You'll also provision though some bottled water. Or
Right,
some, you know.
have backup bottled
But
water.
if you ran out or it doesn't, does that require electricity?
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
so-
But it runs off a 12 volt, and I've got solar panels and a wind generator.
This has been thought out.
I'm trying.
Yeah. So do you think you'll go around the world?
Eventually, I'm not going to be in, that's not my goal.
Okay.
My goal is just to explore and have adventure and hopefully help people on the way.
Yeah.
Some of my plans are helping some of the remote islands, either delivering school books, art supplies, things like that.
So you're in touch with possible organizations that can help you
Yes.
make that happen?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lovely approach to the thing. So you're not just joy riding or joy
No,
sailing here
It's
at all.
going to be an adventure with purpose.
Yeah, I was thinking, you could either go through you could do the Suez Canal and you could do the Panama Canal, or you could go down on the really difficult navigation on
Around the horn.
around those horns, both in Africa and I think the one in Africa is a little better than the one.
That's the
in
Cape
South
of Good Hope,
America.
and that's
Yeah,
not as dangerous.
That's the other. Don't do anything dangerous, my mom would always say. Well, will you please plan on keeping in touch with us here in your community that you're leaving?
Well, I am. I'm hoping to do a website and a blog,
Fabulous.
and I'm hoping to maybe have people join me for periods of time on the boat,
Great.
take a vacation and have a little bit of an adventure,
Oh, that's a
and
wonderful idea.
learn some things about sailing and navigation at the same time.
So it is a sailboat
It's a sailboat, 40-foot catch,
and you said two masts.
two masts.
And that's how you go. That's the power. I mean, we probably have an auxiliary motor to.
Well,
For port, but-
I've taken the diesel out and I'm replacing it with an electric motor,
Okay.
so I'll have some power assist when I need it.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you for joining me today, and I can tell you that everyone will be very interested in listening to this, both on Sunday, and we're going to keep it up on the website until we hear back from you on your blog.
All right.
Let me shake your hand, sir.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks so much.